Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you all kindly for joining me again. This is for April 17th, 2024. There's quite a bit going on again. So let's go right into the markets. This is, as I said, April 17th, 2024. We've got the MMRI at 305.9 at the moment. So that's dropped back a point. We're still in extreme territory of risk. With that, we always watch the relative strength of the dollar above 106, pressuring stocks, as well as the 10-year yield above the 4.65 level. So with that, we've got the fear greed dropped one more notch deeper into fear territory, and that's what's moving the markets really. So we did have Fed Chair Powell come out and supported the higher for longer stance. So this leads to a stronger US dollar, which pressures the stocks, make cheaper stocks and lower market. We are watching that Japanese yen. I'll go into that a little bit more at the moment. So yesterday stocks did act within probability, though, that we were speaking of. They had that drop and then kind of consolidated at a new level is where they're at. So we've got futures bit green this morning, slightly, talking about a little bit of a recovery for a bit. The surprise is actually gold and oil. So they should have moved a little more inversely to this, but we'll talk a little more about this in a bit. So with this today in the calendar, we've got the Beige book. So that's due at 2 p.m. Many investors look towards this for clues as to whether a recession is coming. We've also got a couple of Fed presidents speaking, although this evening, so not during market hours, although anything can happen. On the earnings, we've got Abbott Labs, US Bancorp, Kinder Morgan, and VinFast, as well as Las Vegas Sands. So not a lot of huge stuff, but we do need to be keeping an eye on things for the setups. So, as I was saying, this unusual correlation of gold and the US Treasury is being closely watched. So, the divergence of some of these things in a rapid fashion can really cause a wrench, a spanner in the works, if you would. We've got the Bank of Japan we are watching. They're at a 34-year low against the US dollar. And that, if they step in, that could really rock the markets a bit. So I put this in here. We don't generally look at the Israeli central bank so much, but they're talking about CBDC being good competition with banks. Really, we know the truth is that this is underlying control and surveillance for the central banks, as well as a larger scale trading for them within the system. They've been setting this up for some time. It's just that they happen to be the ones that are openly admitting. So with the local banks, we've got Bank of America. They got hit by rising losses in credit card defaults, and as well as commercial real estate. So as these loans are defaulting and rising, hit their profits. However, they're kind of covering that over, saying that that's fine with them because it's still within the bank's risk appetite. Now, Bank of America was hit by the credit spread before, so maybe it's possible that losing on these defaults doesn't matter as much because they were already losing. So, moving to Morgan Stanley after great earnings yesterday, and they've got a new CEO. They are cutting, as well as HSBC, dozens of Asia investment banking jobs because they're talking about slowdowns. So, still pain in the banking industry. They're just kind of basically covering over it at the moment. So, with this, a look into the real economy. Iran's oil output is hitting highs again. They're doing very well with their basically not just the oil output, but also their trade. And US is talking about putting on sanctions. And we all know that from past performance, sanctions does not only not hurt them, but it also tends to bolster their economy. So why are they doing this? It's in that backdrop. Okay, so back to local. Actually, this is pretty global, but looking at the indicators on a local view for the United States, JB Hunt Transport Services, the shares are trading lower because they are reporting basically less less profit, less results, watching basically trade go down, transport going down. So with this, we've also got another story on risks to global shipping taking on another dangerous turn, basically dropping again. Supply lines with the Straits, all of the Middle East tensions, as well as down South America. So issues all over. What are we watching? We're watching the US government wanted a backdoor to Telegram. So Telegram, another messaging program if you're not familiar with it. But the basically the top developer of this, Pavel Durov, gave an interview to Tucker Carlson the other day. So he founded Telegram, and one of his engineers, he said, was being pressured by the FBI to insert code that would basically give them access to making small changes or actually surveillance. So he was kind of warning about that. He didn't give in to the pressure, and instead he chose not to start base in California and chose elsewhere. So I found that interesting. He was also talking about crypto-like communication devices that could break the government surveillance. So why is this becoming important? We were talking about FISA getting extended. So this is only a couple of days away. And we had Edward Snowden warn about this as well. So this is not only surveillance on a personal level, but also any company that has any type of electronic communications, which is basically everybody nowadays, can not only surveil or any records that they get, but they can be compelled to turn over this data. So more spying on United States citizens going on. So I wanted to bring up a couple other stories. We had photos of torrential Dubai flash floods. Shows the downsides of trying to control the weather. So this storm caused major flash floods. They got 4 years worth of water in one day. And they were doing cloud seeding. So they just kind of overdid it and major problems there. So it's very unfortunate. Also had fire in Copenhagen. If you didn't see this, the Dragon Spear burned down. This used to be their stock exchange, over 400-year-old building. It's now since been turned into a government building, but a little bit symbolic in this burning down. So what are we watching in the background? Wars, trade wars. We've got Turkey, Erdogan blaming Israel for the Iranian attack. Basically, they're a NATO country, but they are realigning. So in the background, we have to watch for what was told to come, so to speak, if you believe in that. But we're watching these alliances shift. Very important for the back on not just supplies, but also trade. And there is a large amount of weaponry, and they are strategically placed. They are a land bridge between a couple of major areas. So in my mind, very important to watch. I'm not going to go into much more of that here, but maybe in a late night. So we've got Biden calling for tripling tariffs on Chinese steel as well as aluminum. So this is going to hurt the US as far as costs. And this is all just on a political, basically, move to get votes out of the steel workers domestically in the United States to say that it would push up prices as well as push up their wages and save their jobs. So what does that mean? More inflation. So not to mention not very good relations with China. So a few things with that. Will he go through with it? We don't know, but we're watching that. So U.S. yields at 2024 highs, luring buyers, even as shorts dominate. This for treasuries. So this is something else that we're watching in this play behind the strength of that U.S. dollar. So with this, wish you all a great day, green trading day if you're doing so. Have another thing about this. Had someone mention about doing a full screen on this rather than having the tabs. If you know how to do that, I'm open to suggestions. And I thank you all for being here and your support and your comments. So until I see you again, stay free.